Ichigo walked home. Streetlights flickered, shadows danced. The city felt alive, breathing. He felt it too, a hum, deep inside, resonating with the city's pulse. Always there, this feeling, like a secret song only he could hear. He stopped at a crosswalk. Neon signs painted the street in artificial hues. Across the street, a billboard flickered, a geisha with haunting eyes. Her gaze seemed to follow him. He looked away, heart pounding. The city felt different tonight, sharper, more real. Reaching his apartment, he climbed the stairs, each step echoing in the silence. His small apartment was a refuge. Posters of rock bands plastered the walls, a barrier against the city's relentless energy. But tonight, even the music couldn't drown out the feeling that something was changing. Sleep wouldn't come. The city's hum thrummed in his bones. He tossed and turned, sheets tangled. A dog barked in the distance. Then silence. He sat up, heart racing. What was that? A whisper, barely audible, drifted through the window. It spoke of shadows and light, of a world unseen. He shook his head, trying to clear the fog of sleep. Hallucination, stress, that's all it was. He went to the window. The city sprawled beneath him like a circuit board. The air felt different, charged, electric. The whisper came again, stronger this time. A voice, ancient and powerful, calling out to him. He couldn't ignore it. This wasn't the city's usual song. This was something else, something ancient, awakening, and it was calling his name. The next day, walking home from school, he saw her. An old woman, hunched over a cane, standing on the corner. She shouldn't have been there, not in this part of the city. She turned, her eyes meeting his. They were ancient, filled with a wisdom that belied her frail body. She spoke, her voice raspy but clear. "The veil is thin, young one. Can you feel it?" He didn't know how to answer. He just stared, mesmerized. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "You have a role to play, Ichigo. The shadows are gathering." And then, just as quickly as she appeared, she was gone, vanished into thin air. He stood there, heart pounding, the encounter leaving him shaken and confused. The city's hum seemed louder now, more insistent. He realized then that the old woman hadn't told him anything he didn't already know. He had always felt it, the presence lurking beneath the surface of his world. Now, the veil was lifting, and there was no turning back. Days turned into weeks. The whispers continued, growing stronger. The city felt different now, menacing, full of hidden dangers. He saw things he couldn't explain, fleeting shadows, flickering lights, whispers in the dark. He tried to tell his friends, but they just laughed. Stressed out, they said. Too much homework. He wanted to believe them, but deep down he knew better. The old woman's words echoed in his mind. The shadows are gathering. He felt alone, isolated by a secret he didn't understand. The weight of it pressed down on him, heavy and suffocating. He needed answers, but where could he find them in this concrete jungle? The city held its breath, waiting, and Ichigo, caught in the eye of the storm, prepared to face the truth. No matter how terrifying it might be, his journey had just begun.
He stepped through the crumbling archway, and the world shifted. The city's noise faded, replaced by a profound silence. The air hummed with a strange energy. He was no longer in the world he knew. This place felt sacred, timeless. S1. One night, the whispers led him to an abandoned temple on the outskirts of the city. It was ancient, forgotten, hidden amongst towering skyscrapers.
He saw him then, a man sitting in the center of the temple, eyes closed in meditation. He radiated power, an aura of pure energy. He was like nothing Ichigo had ever seen before.
"You have come," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "I have been expecting you, Ichigo." The man introduced himself as Urahara, a guardian of sorts, protector of the balance.
He confirmed Ichigo's suspicions. The whispers, the shadows, they were real. A hidden world existed alongside their own, a spirit world, and Ichigo was caught in its crosshairs.
Urahara explained Ichigo's sensitivity to the spirit world wasn't normal. He possessed a rare, latent power within him, a power that drew spirits to him. It was both a gift and a curse, making him a target.
He offered Ichigo a choice. Embrace his power, learn to control it, or become a pawn in a cosmic game he didn't understand. The weight of the decision pressed down on him. Fear warred with a strange sense of purpose. Could he really be what Urahara claimed? Could he protect himself, his city, from the unseen forces gathering in the shadows?
For days, I wrestled with the decision. The city seemed different now. I saw the shadows lurking in every corner, felt the unseen world pressing against my own. I was living a double life, straddling two worlds. One world offered familiarity, comfort, ignorance. The other, a world of shadows and spirits, promised danger, uncertainty, but also a chance to confront the darkness I felt growing within the city. I thought about the old woman, her warning echoing in my mind. I thought about the responsibility Urahara placed upon me. Could I turn my back on it? Could I live with myself knowing I could have made a difference? I realized the choice wasn't really a choice at all. I couldn't ignore this power within me, this call to action. I had to fight. I had to protect my city, my world. I had to embrace my destiny. He returned to the temple, ready to begin his training.
The path of a warrior is not an easy one, he warned. It demands courage, discipline, and a willingness to face your fears.
I trained relentlessly, pushing myself to my limits. I learned to harness the energy within me, to channel it into a force for good. I sparred with wooden swords, feeling the weight of centuries-old tradition in my hands. I learned about the spirit world, about the balance that held it in check. I learned about the creatures that lurked in the shadows, feeding on fear and despair. I learned about the ancient lineage of protectors, warriors who fought to maintain the balance. And as I trained, I felt myself changing. I was no longer just an ordinary boy. I was becoming something more, something stronger, something braver. One moonless night, after weeks of training, Urahara took me to a secluded clearing in the heart of the city. The air crackled with anticipation. This was no ordinary training session. This was a test. A monstrous figure emerged from the shadows, eyes burning with malevolent intent. It lunged at me, a whirlwind of claws and teeth. Fear threatened to consume me, but I stood my ground. I remembered my training, channeled my energy, and drew my wooden sword. The battle raged, a blur of motion and light. I fought with everything I had, my movements fueled by a primal instinct I didn't know I possessed. I was outmatched, outgunned, but I refused to yield. I fought not just for myself, but for my city, for the people I loved, for the balance I was sworn to protect. And in that moment, I realized what it truly meant to be a warrior. With a final desperate blow, I struck the creature down. It dissolved into dust, leaving behind a silence that was almost deafening. I stood there, panting, bathed in the faint glow of the rising sun. I had done it. I had faced my fear and emerged victorious. I looked at Urahara, a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration on my face.
You have done well, Ichigo, he said. The path ahead will be fraught with danger, but you are ready.
As the first rays of dawn pierced through the cityscape, I felt a surge of power course through me. I was no longer just an ordinary boy. I was Ichigo, protector of the balance, defender of the light. I was ready to face the shadows. My journey was far from over, but it was a new beginning, the dawn of a hero.